If we're talking about the best watch in every price point, the best watch under $1,000, in my opinion, is Tissot PRX. Swiss manufactured timepiece, premium materials, and a luxury look. It's durable, it's versatile, great size, it's got a retro aesthetic that is always stylish, and it's a trusted name, and it doesn't break the bank. Hi, I'm Roman Sharf. For those of you who don't know me, I've been a watch dealer going on 22 years now, and I'm here to share my experience, my love for watches, and the knowledge that I've acquired throughout the years, so stay tuned. Let's talk about the best watch, $1,000 to $5,000. I'm going older Rolex Datejust, probably a 16014 reference. Why? Rolex is the first money watch. My first ever fancy watch that I bought was a 5-digit old Datejust that I paid like $1,000 from a friend at a pawn shop a long time ago. Nothing wrong with having a little bit of flex when you want to buy an expensive watch. You want the world to know that you have an expensive watch and Rolex is it. Now, there are some alternatives. There's a slew of Tudors you can pick up under $5,000, as well as Omega Seamasters and also a few older Speedies, or Omega Speedmasters as they call them. All three of these watches and the two alternatives are always going to give you a little bit of flex factor. It's going to make a point and people will know you have an expensive watch. Let's talk about your best watch from $5,000 to $10,000. What am I going with? I'm going with the Cartier Santos, the large model, watch reference number WSSA0009, I believe. It's the watch that actually broke the mold of a watch being a piece of jewelry for a lady, because as we know, the first watch ever made was the Queen of Naples, made for the Queen of Naples. Are there alternatives? Of course. You can now get into a newer Omega Speedy. You can get into a Rolex Explorer 2. You can look at companies like Ulysse Nardin and their Marine Chrono, which is a beautiful watch all of its own, but I can only pick one. Cartier Santos it is. Let's talk about the best watch from $10,000 to $20,000. I'm gonna go with the obvious. Pepsi GMT, probably, I don't know, one of the most popular Rolexes out there, from the most popular brand and the most recognizable brand out there. There are some towns around the world where they say if you throw a rock, odds are you're gonna hit a Pepsi GMT. Are there alternatives? Of course there are. IWC Perpetual with the Kurt Klaus system. First Perpetual, where you can adjust the whole Perpetual from the crown. There's a ton of Jaegers out there in the likes of annual calendars, chronographs, but Pepsi GMT is going to be it for me in that price range. The best watch from $20,000 to $30,000. Boy, do your options open up when prices go up. But what am I going with? I'm going with the Audemars Piguet, specifically an offshore. It can be a slew of offshores that can be picked up in that price range. It can be something that's a regular production, some older models. You can also pick up limited editions in that price range nowadays, like the Montoya or the Barrichello, if you will. Of course, the other obvious choice is going to be the Daytona. And you're gonna say, Roman, why not the Daytona first? Well, because I'm biased. Audemars Piguet happens to be my favorite brand, and I feel like Audemars is a bit of a higher echelon brand than that of Rolex. If you're a Vacheron guy, you want to stick within the Holy Trinity, AP, Patek, and BC, you can go with a Vacheron Overseas, the automatic. And there's also a slew of Pateks out there at that price range. That's right. Like a reference 5135, a reference 5035, or even a 5146 if you buy it at the right price on the secondary. A different kind of flex, and the fans of Cartier, you can also go with perhaps a Cartier Santos Skeleton. That price range will allow it. Jumping into a best watch in the price range of $30,000 to $50,000. The Royal Oak Automatic, one of the most classic watches out there. And again, I'm super biased because it happens to be my favorite brand and Genta happens to be my favorite designer. There are other options out there. Ulysse Nardin will offer you their executive tourbillons in that price range. You can pick up gold Daytonas. Options become more or less endless when you start getting into higher price ranges. And this price range certainly affords a lot more options that I described, but we don't have that kind of time on this topic. The best watch in the $50,000 to $100,000 price range. If I had to pick one watch, I'm going back to good old trusty Audemars Piguet, but this time I'm picking up the original Royal Oak. I'm picking up the 5402 ST. There are some alternatives. AP is not everybody's favorite brand. Patek, definitely going with a 5205. Sleek, aesthetically gorgeous, great value for the money of what you're getting. And if you want to jump to independents, go to my favorite independent, MB&F. Look at their legacy models that can be picked up in that price range. Of course, last but not least, you can also talk about Rolex. Rolex fits into every price category. In this case, now you affording a Platinum Daytona, the most iconic, most popular watch out there, now in platinum. Other alternatives, Lange & Söhne, probably some of the best watches made out there by a non-Swiss company. This is a German company, and I've always said it. Lange & Söhne's quality, I feel, is far superior to that of Patek Philippe. But a nice Lange & Söhne 1815 Chrono would be a great watch. I'm talking about $100,000 to $150,000. What's the one watch that I pick? For those of you that know me, you'll probably say, oh, you're gonna say an AP. No, I'm actually gonna say Nautiluses. And when I say Nautiluses, I mean multitude of Nautiluses. You have your chronograph, you have your dual time. Most likely, I'm going with the dual time, the 5990 if I had to pick one. But you have an option in Nautiluses as well as in the Aquanaut line. Things like AP Perpetuals. You can get Perpetuals from Vacheron Constantine. And again, you can get various complicated timepieces from Patek Philippe. You want to go independent that's been around for 170 years? I go with the Ulysse Nardin Freak Nomad S. 150,000 to 200,000, what's the watch I'm picking? I'm going Richard Mille. Of course, not every Richard Mille is going to stay under that $200,000 price range, but in today's market, you can pick up an older RM11, the one that started it all, the quintessential Felipe Massa chronograph that they created, and people were going, oh my God, why is their chronograph so expensive? Lo and behold, years later, here we are, one of the hottest, most popular unobtainium brands out there. That price range also opens you up to my favorite brand in the realm of skeleton Royal Oaks from AP. And you can also get into stone-encrusted Rolexes. But the idea is to pick one, and that one is going to be an RM11 Richard Mille for me. When you're talking about picking a watch in a price range, the minute you get to the $200,000 mark, that's when it kind of stops, because your options really become endless, because it's $200,000 to infinity. What is the one watch, Roman, they would have if money is no object? And to me, the answer has always been the same. And that is a Sky Moon Tourbillon from Patek Philippe, and which, by the way, I wouldn't mind taking the older version, the 5002 or the 6002. That's the one watch if money is no object. It's the Mac Daddy of all brands. It's the Rolls Royce of all brands. It is the ultimate watch that they make. And mind you, some may argue and say it's the Grandmaster Chime. Grandmaster Chime is too big, it's too bulky, it's a little awkward to wear. The Sky Moon Tourbillon, with all of its complications, to me is the one watch that I would put on my wrist if I was shopping in the $200,000 plus range. And if you want to come down to earth and not talk about seven-figure watches and stay around the $200,000 to $300,000 price range, the flexiest watches in the world today, probably Richard Mille, you can do. If you want to do a Rainbow Daytona, you can do. If you want to get uber complicated and look at some older timepieces like Grand Complications from Audemars Piguet from back in 2002s, 3s, and 4s, you look at the value for the dollar here, and the world is your oyster when it comes to spending $200,000 plus on a watch, because you can literally get anything. Not everybody can afford a $200,000 watch. Not everybody wants to wear a $1,000 watch, because I always say the same thing. Buy what you like first and foremost within the price range that you can afford, and I hope this video gave you a little bit of insight to that. Other than that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.